I wanted to ask you one last thing personally before we go, and we'll get into this a little bit. And this was something you spoke out about for the audience to get them up to speed. When Joe Rogan signed the Spotify deal for $100 million, various shows were taken down with controversial guests, whether it was Gavin McInnes or Milo Yiannopoulos. And sure enough, your episode when you were on with Joe Rogan was suddenly deleted. And he told Alex Jones, who we've had on this show before, he said, oh, there was some issue with Spotify, but those episodes are still down. And the crazy thing is, like, you reposted that show. It's on your YouTube channel. I've watched it. You and Joe had a great conversation. And there's definitely some power that be saying, you got to delete this, you got to delete that. And I love Rogan's show, but he did sell out in a sense to just kind of let these people take down episodes with people like yourself.
You know, it didn't bother me so much that he sold out the way that he did. And in case anybody in the FBI is watching this right now, $100 million and I'll go away forever. But sorry, there's so much. But what really pissed me off was that he fucking lied about it. Joe Rogan lied about that. And Alex Jones either lied for him or passed on the lie without verifying. But like, and this is why I think Joe Rogan might be slipping, although he's so big. Now he's propped up by mainstream corporate interests.
Yeah.
And I have to question his integrity, but I'm really hoping that in the back of his mind, he's going, well, shit, they let me have Alex Jones on again. They're not,
that's the thing.
They're not really worried about Tommy Chong. That was one of the
I'm wondering if he's been kind of fighting back, though, because he has had Alex Jones back on. He has had some very controversial guests on recently. Like, I think it's Brett Weinstein, who was just like demonetized from YouTube. So he's had some controversial people on. Do you think they initially took those down and Rogan said, like, hold up, I'm going to have whoever I want on? Because they haven't censored things since. I'm kind of confused by the whole thing.
I think you would be naive to assume that he's not operating within some prescribed guidelines at this point.
Yeah. I agree.
If Joe Rogan, what would Joe Rogan would have to have me back on to convince me otherwise? I'm saying that would do it. Who would he have to have on to really convince me otherwise? Because Alex Jones is obviously controlled opposition.
You think so? I think that's. We've had Alex on. I think Alex totally speaks his mind.
Hold on, those are not mutually exclusive things. I didn't say that Alex Jones is ungenuine in anything in particular that he says, although I do think he has sold out politically under Trump. But he was controlled opposition a long time before that. So controlled opposition doesn't mean that you're dishonest. You can be controlled opposition without knowing it even. But how did Alex Jones get big? AM radio. The gatekeepers wanted him to get big. Because you know why? In the wake, if you're the people behind 9/11 or the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, you don't want Richard Gage sounding intelligent and credible with architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth being the credible face of that movement. You want Alex Jones? They're making the frogs dead. I've got the documents. 9/11 was an inside job, because you can demonize that guy later. You can throw him under the bus when you're done with him. So no, Alex Jones is definitely, the conclusion of all of his investigations is, and therefore support Donald Trump. Fuck you. No, he's definitely operating within the prescribed limits of controlled opposition. If Joe Rogan had, I'm trying to think, like if Joe Rogan had someone from, We Are Change Colorado on to talk about, police reform in the wake of the Johnny Hurley shooting, if he had John McAfee's wife Janice on,
and he did have John McAfee on at one time. It was one of the only times he had someone on by phone.
Wasn't that before Spotify?
Yes, way before Spotify.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
just saying.
It's sad. It's really sad what Joe Rogan has become at this point.
It's a weird thing, too, because it's like, to me, Rogan was the last giant platform that had no ties to, giant any giant corporation until the Spotify deal. And the thing is, I mean, look, if it was me, I do agree. I mean, like if someone is paying me $100 million to do a podcast, it would be extremely hard to just walk away from that. But Rogan was making huge money on his own, and he could have said, I don't really need a giant corporation. And I think once you do work with a giant corporation, they are going to have some say into who you have on and what we're going to keep.
Oh, you think there was no stick next to that carrot? If you don't take this deal with Spotify, Joe, we're going to make sure you get shadow banned, and pretty soon we're going to phase you out. Because we pull the levers, you don't. No matter how independent your audience is, if we want to squeeze you off the internet, we'll do it.